top stories at this hour. We begin with this story. Almost 4 years in the making. Well, the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice has now ruled that the Federal Republic of Nigeria violated the human rights of Obianuju Ude and 2 others. The court found Nigeria in breach of some articles of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, specifically on the right to life, security of person, amongst others. The federal government of Nigeria was also ordered to pay Obianuju Ude, popularly known as DJ Switch, Perpetual Kamsi, and Dabira Oluwa Adeyinka 2 million naira each for violation of their rights. The presiding judge, Justice Kuruma Sengu, who delivered the judgment, dismissed the allegation that the right to life is guaranteed under Article 4 of the ACPHR is violated. Now, this case was taken to court in the aftermath of the EndSARS protests, particularly the events at the Lekki toll gate that saw soldiers shooting at the protesters. Now, speaking of Nigerian courts now, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, is warning that judges who give misleading and conflicting judgment will face the consequence of their conduct. The CJN issued the threat during the inauguration of 22 Court of Appeal justices and 12 judges of the FCT High Court in Abuja. Well, he announced that the National Judicial Council has already activated the process of addressing such conduct, which he describes as an embarrassment to the judiciary. And the Supreme Court will today deliver judgment on the suit seeking full autonomy for the 774 local governments in the country. The federal government instituted a suit against all the 36 states of the Federation, and in that suit, filed by the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, the federal government is also asking for an order preventing the governors from arbitrarily dissolving democratically elected councils. Well, also today, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, is expected to arraign a former Minister of Power, Mr. Salim Amin, before Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court for 33 billion naira money laundering charges. He will be arraigned on a 12-count charge bordering on conspiracy to commit money laundering and possession and use of known proceeds of criminal conduct. The former minister served under former President Muhammadu Buhari. So big day at the court. Stay with Channels Television for all the updates. But let's talk about other issues now. President Bola Tinubu is calling for review of all planned procurement of all ministries, departments and agencies, especially some major products of the Ministry of Works, in a bid to ensure better budget implementation. Well, this was part of resolutions reached at the Federal Executive Council meeting, which took place at the State House. The council is also working to pursue an amendment of the legislation of the National Council on Procurement to make it more robust. Take a listen.
Mr. President has directed that all projects that require additional funding, especially major projects of the Ministry of Works, be looked at once again so that there will be further deliberation on that at the next council meeting.
Mr. President directed that a good basis for performance, especially when it comes to infrastructural development, is to ensure that we have a solid procurement act in order to avoid corruption and also stem the tide of abandoned projects.
Well, it appears the Rivers State government is looking beyond the 2024 budget. As Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara says his administration has begun preparing the 2025 budget, which he says will be presented soon. He says the process is ongoing despite calls by the Martin Amewule-led assembly that he should submit the 2024 budget before it. Governor Fubara stated this while addressing a delegation from Eche and Omoma local government areas who paid him a solidarity visit at the government house in Port Harcourt. Well, he told the people who visited to ignore the calls by the Amewule group, saying that they are not legitimate.
In our 2025 budget, which we have already started, you don't worry about those people that are delusional. They think we are still sleeping. Let me tell you people so that they will hear wherever they are. I wanted to help them. Sincerely, because I know them. And I've said it before. These are people that I've helped. So I wanted to help them. We all knew what happened when they crossed. And how did they cross? Because of our God. For them to make that mistake. They are gone and they are gone. Now, let me tell you, when I wanted to help them, I accepted to help them because what is there? We all one, we will disagree to agree. They thought they are smart. What is holding them is the declaration of their seat vacant that was done in December 2023. That's what is holding them. So they think, well, I know they don't know anything. They think I'm like them. We're not doing any budget to nullify that decision. It is what will send them to their villages. For me, as I'm talking to you, I have started preparing my budget for 2025, which I'm going to present very soon.
On to security now. No fewer than 13 persons have been killed by suspected herdsmen following a renewed attack on Ipele and Olegumachi villages of Agatu local government area in Benue State. A community leader who spoke on the killing says the violent attack, which happened even of Tuesday, is the second time they have been attacked by suspected herdsmen in the last 12 days. In a telephone call with our correspondent, the community leader and former vice chairman of Agatu local government area, Mr. John Ikwulonu, confirmed that about 13 corpses were counted by the time the dust settled in the latest incident, while 2 people were killed in the previous attack. On the spot of efforts to mitigate the increase in attacks on journalists and online dissenters in Nigeria, a coalition of Nigerian journalists and civic space defenders have launched the hashtag Don't Police My Speech campaign, a public demand for an end to the abuse of power and the criminalization of free speech by Nigerian authorities. Speaking to journalists in Abuja shortly after a peaceful march to the headquarters of the Federal Ministry of Justice, a rights activist, Mujirai Ogulano, says the campaign is aimed at curbing the misuse and the weaponization of the Cybercrimes Act to silence and prevent journalists, activists, and ordinary citizens from exercising their constitutionally guaranteed right to free speech and expression.
And one of the things that we go to court for is the fact that journalists are being harassed and being repressed, even when they give their when they do what they are supposed to do. And you know, normally journalists are there to give information, share information, and then to hold government accountable because they are the fourth estate of the realm. And so, unfortunately, we find the fact that governments keep repressing them, keep going after them. And the new trend that we have found out is the use of the Cybercrimes Act. Just within the Tinubu administration, between 2023 and today, we have had not less than 25 journalists being harassed and being criminalized or for any reason by the police. And that is unacceptable. And that is why we are here, because every journalist has the right to freedom of expression, and which means that they have the right to disseminate information at every point in time. And they have the right to allow other people to access the information, because their duty is to hold government accountable.
And outside the country now, the United States will start deploying longer-range missiles in Germany. Come 2026, the two countries announced at a meeting of NATO alliance, a major step aimed at countering what the allies say is a growing threat from Russia towards Europe. The decision will send Germany the most potent U.S. weapons to be based on the European continent since the Cold War, in a clear warning to Russian President Vladimir Putin. A U.S.-German statement said the episodic deployments were in preparation for longer-term stationing in Europe of capabilities that would include SM-6, Tomahawk, and developmental hypersonic weapons with greater range. And on to sports news now. Ollie Watkins struck a stunning injury time winner As England beat the Netherlands 2-1 on Wednesday to set up a Euro 2024 final showdown with Spain in Berlin. It was an incredible finish to an evening that began badly for England as Xavi Simons gave the Netherlands an early lead in the semi-final in Dortmund. Well, however, England was soon leveled through a hurricane penalty following a contentious VAR call by German referee Felix Weyer, and the match looked set to drift towards extra time until Watkins struck. There you have it. Congratulations to England, might I say. So maybe this tournament might just come home, but wait to find out on Sunday.